Welcome to the celebrated nightly news of Calaveras County. My name is John.
And I'm Kim.
And we thank you for stopping by on Tuesday night, which is government night, isn't it?
Government night. A lot of government stuff happens on Tuesday.
And we would like to thank Kim for joining us again tonight.
Yes.
She's feeling like 50% maybe.
Not quite that, but I'm loaded up on Motrin. So I'm
you're high on drugs, so
yes,
you're ready to go?
I'm high on drugs, taking lots of Motrin.
Great.
Today,
so what'd you do today?
I stayed home and worked in my jammies all day. I was sick. To be honest, that's what I did, but I worked all day.
I just went from meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting.
You had to do that all by yourself.
No, it was fine. It was actually very fine. I went to Board of Supervisors this morning, and we caught the public comment part of the meeting. Then we had to run off to Mythbusters, and then we had to come back to the Board of Supervisors meeting and then do the joint meeting between the Angels Camp City Council and the Calaveras County Board of Supervisors.
So what happened at Board of Soups today?
All right.
Tell me.
To start off on opening comments, and this was a little bit you can really tell you're in election season. Preseason's over, and it's time to play hardball.
For supervisors.
These are the Board of Supervisors races are really heating up. Now this one there was a complaint that came in to Calaveras Public Television, which you're probably watching us on now, that a couple of the Board of Supervisor candidates, Sarah Lunsford and also Kathy Masafero, and also Ron Platts. So I guess three. So I guess in some ways it says that public access TV is a training ground if you want to run for supervisor, right?
I guess, yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, somebody filed basically a complaint saying that they would like the Ron and John show, Sarah Lunsford's Inside View, and also Kathy's Window on Calaveras removed until after the election cycle is over.
Due to conflict of interest, I'm assuming.
And they're also saying it gives those candidates an unfair advantage. We spoke with one of the candidates today that didn't really see how that would be. In fact, that they're going for a total of, say, 3,000 votes anyway.
But I can see the other person's point of view also.
You can see the perspective on that. But the interesting thing is, typically this is a small town, kind of a familial field, just kind of as a low-key campaigning style. But I think that last year's election cycle with Russ Thomas and Victoria Erickson kind of paved the way for, we're doing kind of hardball, big-time candidacies now. So I guess we're only 3 days after all the fields have been set, and then all of a sudden it's already starting. I mean, some of the hardball, and the only thing is that this hasn't been traced back to one specific candidate yet. But also the interesting thing is will this come back to harm a particular candidate that plays hardball? Because I think so I think there's a couple different ways that can go on this, but it was
so nothing was decided today. Who makes the decision on that? The board, or how does that work?
Well, actually, Ed Lark got a legal ruling from an attorney that because public access TV is different than regular TV. In fact, they brought up the Fred Thompson thing, where Fred Thompson, in his appearances on Law and Order, those shows went on hiatus while he was an active campaigner. But the other thing is for public access, if somebody provides a program to them, they have to run it. So in some ways, it'll be an interesting thing because there's some free speech issues. So I think it looks like that public access is going to do some more interview-style shows with the other candidates. So I think to try to balance some things, but it was a very interesting way to open.
Oh, okay. So they're going to have somebody doing interviews with the candidates, so that it doesn't look biased, whatever.
Right, but it was
are the shows going to stay on, or you don't know yet?
As of for right now, I believe they are.
Okay. And
it was kind of an interesting way to open up the Board of Soups, and you could probably debate whether the merits of their case both ways successfully. But I thought the interesting thing for me, the takeaway is. Well, it's hardball now.
Here it goes. Already.
Here it goes.
First week.
Yeah, and I think
Get those
that was
boxing gloves out,
and
right?
probably the biggest item. The biggest item was that they have a reached agreement on enough land for the new jail.
This is a big item.
They will pay the owner, and I believe this is the parcel that was the closest to the county government center. I believe this was the Opensky parcel. This was so they have 28 acres, and basically they had to meet the requirements for their grant application. So the county has met the requirements for the grant application, is actually having land to go to. They also passed a piece today on they have to fund the labor side of the new jail. So they approved that they're going to take the staffing. The staffing. The staffing was approved.
1 million, a little
something
over 1 million.
like that as well. So that piece was approved as well. Also, kind of interesting thing. Another interesting thing that came up in public comment was that one of the union reps that was there, the county employee union rep was there, and I guess there was some technicality why the contract that they just signed and just ratified and everything else needed to be thrown out.
This morning, the one you signed this morning.
No, not the labor contract for the jail,
okay.
but the one that was from last week.
Wow.
That was retroactive back through December. That one actually got kicked, but I don't think they're going to have to go back from square one. They were joking that if they got the union rep plus Francine Osborne and locked them in a room for a while, they could probably come out and be okay. But it was interesting as on a technicality. So technically, the union contracts and everything that we reported on last week all got chucked out the window.
So the next step is they go to the state. Are they ready to go to the state yet?
Yes,
now,
back on jail.
Okay.
Back on jail. Then they get all the polish up the rest of
so
the.
Is that part all done now with us, with the county? So now they go to the state, or is the part not
no,
done?
they polish up the loose ends on it a little bit and get it shipped off. So I think the deadline was by the 18th, I believe,
of March.
Then they sit back and go
and wait. And I think they actually make a decision by sometime in early April, right?
Yeah, I mean this is we'll know. And I think from all intents and purposes, I think
everything looks good so
everything
far.
looks good, and even with the budgetary things that are going on at the state, they know that this county needs additional beds.
They do.
So
otherwise, it's a catch and release.
Yes.
Very quickly.
All right. Now, I guess we'll go chronologically through our day. And is it okay if I go out of order here one time, or does I have to?
Why don't you finish on the government news, then we'll go on to fun news.
Okay. All right. Now, after we did our little MythBusters thing, we came back to a joint session with the Calaveras County Board of Supervisors and the Angels Camp City Council members, plus members of the community development departments and also the CAOs.
Now, was that on economic development? Is that what it was
county.
regarding?
This was technically on general plan issues.
General plan issues, okay.
But
how did it go?
they kind of go hand in hand. Today was a nice opening step. There was some
long
we recorded
meeting?
it. It was actually not that bad, an hour and a half.
Oh, okay.
But they kind of as a nice open first step on agreeing to work together. They pitched the economic development meeting that's coming up next week as kind of a continuation piece. And I think one of the things that they were talking about that tied into economic development is Angels Camp as the city and the county would like to come to an agreement on areas where they would like to see industrial growth, retail growth, because I think it was the fact that it's coming. Whether you're against the growth or not against the growth, it's really almost immaterial. At some point during the next 15, 20 years, it's going to show up.
To Angels Camp, you think?
The county.
Or anywhere.
The county.
Okay.
And I think, and they used some of the examples of over in Jackson on how they didn't want things to develop. So, for example, the city of Jackson, I believe, was against some of the big box and some of the growth. So basically, they just put it in the county in Martell. So that's why all of that.
Oh, okay, that's why.
That's why all of the
right on the
stuff
outskirts
there,
of Jackson.
correct.
2 minutes away.
And is that how you want to handle your development? Maybe not.
Maybe not,
And the other example that was brought up was Modesto. Modesto decided that they didn't want the big car dealerships inside the city limits. So if you go to McHenry, they put all those car dealerships just outside of the city limits in the county. So I think
You're right on that.
there's another. So
one.
I think if they hopefully they could come to an agreement on how to craft good policy on where you would like to steer future development. what areas you want to see as for heavy industrial, that type of a growth pattern, and those are the big points. There was a few other items on the for the board, but those are the big points, at least from our
now they
perspective.
have another meeting coming up. I'll go ahead and talk about that real quick.
Yeah.
Let me see. There will be an upcoming study session before the Board of Supervisors on Tuesday, March 18th. The Chamber of Commerce will be presenting data which will represent a snapshot of Calaveras County's economic profile. The data will include information concerning commuting patterns, employment trends, population, and job growth. The Chamber has partnered with other business associations to compile this data. The Chamber has set a goal of pursuing economic development for our county in order to diversify the local economy. The study session will begin at 2:30. All are encouraged to attend. So it'll be next week, the same thing, study session at 2:30 at Town Hall.
Town Hall.
Yes.
And also, just before we leave that completely, just want to go over the exact details. I think we mentioned this briefly in there. The county has agreed to pay at least $1.9 million for the 28 acres. Negotiations have reached the point necessary to allow the grant process to go forward. And then the parties have also agreed to binding arbitration to narrow the gap a bit further. So that is that's the numbers. So they'll end up paying somewhat more than the.
Are you yawning?
Somewhat more than the 1.9 million, but a little bit unsure what the exact number will end up being. All right.
Okay, go ahead. And John went to something fun and exciting today.
Now this was fun. Is the Calaveras County Bomb Squad and Hazmat team, Clay Hawkins and his whole crew there, have developed a very nice working relationship with the producers of the Mythbusters shows.
Which is our boys' favorite
show. They watch
and yours
them,
too. You love it.
Yeah, they watch them over and over and over. And a lot of times these shows have been filmed at the quarry on Highway 49. And that's where they have done some of the big explosions. And one of the ones that I think was a famous one, not only for the show, but from when we were talking to Captain Hawkins, is the data from that was also data that other bomb squads and other agencies actually used. Wow. And I'll explain on this. This was fascinating to where, and we'll start off with a fun piece of it.
Now, where was this one held today?
This was out in Jenny Lind.
Okay.
And Jenny Lind off Milton down in there. And the one they were testing myths. And the myth today, if you remember from Caddyshack, was he's trying to get rid of the gophers. So he's putting explosives. They started off with a gas. And, it's in the hole. It's trying to blow up the gophers, right? So this is the myth they were busting: is what type of would explosives be effective against gophers? Would gas be effective against gophers? So basically, we were held back, probably 1,500 feet.
They wouldn't let John see because they didn't want him to spoil the myth.
Yes, we had to vow a vow of silence and secrecy because they didn't want to see if the myth was confirmed or not confirmed. But it was
before the show actually aired.
Yes, and the shows typically air about 3 months after taping.
Okay.
And we found out that it's actually an Australian company, so they actually shoot the footage, ship it down under, assemble it, and then ship it back. All right. But the crews are local because their office is in San Francisco. Typically, they'll either go to the Alameda County Range or here.
Now, which part of the crew was there today? That's the first thing.
Now, it was the young crew.
The young crew.
With Tori and what are the other two names. The other two gentlemen. They were out in the field, and when we were back, we were able to talk to the producers and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. But our angle on it today was, this is kind of a coup for the area bomb squad, and most of you may not, or some of you may not know, that the Calaveras County's bomb and hazmat team is the agency that responds to bomb and hazmat issues in basically most of the motherlode counties.
Wow.
So Amador, Tuolumne, Calaveras, I believe Mariposa, Alpine, they are the bomb squad that responds. And also they have a mutual aid relationship with the Stanislaus County bomb squad, that if the Stanislaus County bomb squad has to be away or something like that, then
So we cover
Calaveras County covers it, and vice versa up here. And they handled about 25 incidents last year, and there's more bomb-related incidents than you would think.
You've never heard of those. I've never heard
one of those
Interesting.
a couple weeks ago was down in the Valley Springs area, where they basically had, the guy had remote detonators, Claymore mine stuff, and we asked him, was this, and most of this is actually drug-related stuff, and sometimes it's basically opposing dealers against each other, but very interesting.
We never heard about that.
Yeah, it's very interesting stuff. A lot of this stuff doesn't always make the radar, but
You probably don't want to scare people, maybe.
and so they use these MythBusters episodes as live training.
Okay.
It is actually the Calaveras County bomb techs that actually wire the explosives, detonate the explosives, do the experiments, and it is a very good training exercise for them, because the producers of the show will buy the ordnance, pay for all the expenses, and it allows them to treat this like it is an actual incident. So they manage these incidents as if it was a explosive or an ordnance they had just found, or it was a call.
Okay.
So we have about a 5-minute clip with Captain Hawkins, and this is on how they actually will, a little bit on how they have a lot of really nice equipment. And this one here, you'll see MythBusters. It's in the hole. Calaveras County Bomb Squad helps them test the Caddyshack myths.
Here we go.
And this is a little piece here.
Morning, Clay Hawkins from the Calaveras County Sheriff's Office Bomb Squad. We're here today with MythBusters in Ginny Land, where they're simulating some explosives demolition on a variety of topics and a variety of explosives. How technically the backdrop for this is we do a number of things in preparation for any hazardous material or explosives incident that we're called to. One of the most important things we do is do a threat vulnerability assessment in terms of what kind of a device we may have, its explosive potential, and what kind of impact it could potentially cause to the local residents. So we usually start out with an assessment of a device, its explosive impact, or a yield of a vapor that may cause inhalation hazards. And from that assessment, we then develop a site safety plan. And you can see here we're
This is their
looking
plan.
at Highway 26. The Milton landfill is in this area. Ginny Land is at the bottom of the screen down here. And we're looking at an open field where we're going to detonate two different types of explosives. One is about 2 pounds of C4. That's composition number 4 that was developed by the Army probably in the late 1980s. We're also looking at a second shot of looking at 2 pounds of what's commercially called det cord, technically called PETN.
And all this bomb terminology
From
was
that information,
Wait,
we
wait,
then develop the threat vulnerability.
The blue
What
red.
would those two blasts do? We've run 2 different models. Model number 1, we look at 2 elements of the blast. The first is overpressure, and that's the punch that an explosive would yield and knock things around. The second is fragmentation. Fragmentation is pieces of rock, the device, and anything around it that it scoops up in a blast wave and propels it outward at 365 degrees. So for our 2 models, we've come up with a fragmentation area of 745 feet for 2 pounds of C4 and an evacuation distance of about 700 feet. On our second blast, we're looking at about 1,000 feet of fragmentation and an evacuation distance of about 750 feet. Why do we do this? This is critically important for us in an overall tactical plan because we need to know a couple things. One, what would an explosive blast do in terms of the area?
They can test it,
And second, what kind of potential harm would it inflict? So based on these 2 models, we know how far to evacuate people to protect them from the overpressure and the fragmentation. So you can see we're sitting here in a little house that's overlooking south of us into an open field. We're at about 1,700 feet, and our 2 blast models, C4 would take a blast at about 750 feet, and blast number 2, the 2 pounds of det cord, would take a blast out to about 1,000 feet. So you can see we're in a safe zone of about 700 feet.
Yeah.
And this is classically what we do when we're on scene of a live incident to determine evacuation. Second, once we've developed a vulnerability assessment and a tactical plan. We then look toward interagency management of the incident. So you'll see here we have the Giddingland Fire Department with a fire officer plugged next to the bomb squad as the technical team, and we work the incident together. Then the third piece would be an ambulance, and we would typically put the ambulance here with us. They're out in the field. You can see in the distance where the blast is going to be. They're looking at how mushy the ground is and if they need to go out, what their access is.
Way out.
Way out
Past there.
So we work things interagency. We share programmable radios with tactical channels. So from the incident command post, we could talk to a bomb tech in a bomb suit on the scene over a device. We could talk to an ambulance that if some kind of a medical emergency happened, we could dispatch an ambulance in. And thirdly, we could talk to a fire unit in the cab of the engine to give him instructions if he needed to go in and do an initial attack on fire. So we run technical analyses, interagency management, and then develop tactical plans, all in this environment that's constantly changing as wind, speed, overcast, temperature, relative humidity. As all those change, our tactical plan could go 360 degrees opposite. So this gives you kind of an overview of how we would manage an explosives incident from not only the medical emergency point of view, the fire response, and then the tactical plan itself.
All right. Now, we'd like to thank Captain Hawkins, Clay, for doing that. And this is, we're driving down the road. This is where the blast actually occurred. They blocked traffic on the road when they actually did the blast. So that's actually where Tori and all the other, they're out there. In fact, we saw them doing some makeup and stuff there off to the side. So that's the actual Mythbusters crew right there in the road. And this episode will air probably about 3 months.
Okay.
And I think it was fascinating is the Calaveras County Bomb Squad and the hazmat is they have in one of their trucks there basically a rolling lab. So they can do basically analysis of all the different compounds. And we asked some questions about since 9/11, is the increased chatter? They says there's specific times of the year to where if it's anniversary times, 4th of July, big holidays, that there will be a heightened level of chatter and stuff like not necessarily in this area. And we asked on a national security thing, and the thing that they watch here locally is that if you look at typically things like the Timothy McVeigh one, the Oklahoma City bombings and things, is usually the devices were assembled in rural areas and then moved to a major metropolitan area. Okay. So they always have their antenna up a little bit as far as trying to manage that kind of stuff. So it was kind of interesting. I'd like to thank the Sheriff's Department and Captain Hawkins for allowing us to come out there and watch their excitement today, and also thank the Mythbusters crew. Yes. And they'll be back. They'll be back for shooting number 6 in a couple months, and I believe this next one's going to be shark related. Okay. So
we'll keep you posted on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Just real quick, the awards in the 11th annual high school art show were announced. That's been going on.
Great.
It started on Friday, and it's going on. The exhibits are going on through the end of the month. And following up a call for artists in the Calaveras Arts County 11th annual Art Spirit Show, 131 high school students from 4 high schools entered a total of 200 works in 11 categories. There were cash awards presented for first prize, for second prize, and third place ribbons were given in each category. Additionally, a cash prize popular choice award will be presented after the April 17th closing of the exhibit, which is open to the public at 22 Main Street in San Andreas. And here are the results. I
Sure.
probably need to go into weather, don't we?
No, we got enough time. You got about 2 minutes.
Okay.
So go quick.
The results aren't there. I put them all in today.
Uh-oh.
Anyway.
Do we have problems with our results?
Yeah, we have problems with our results. That's weird. I must have had a problem when I put it up earlier, but I will have those up. We'll have that corrected later.
And also, I guess if we're moving on to weather a little bit, is we're going to have some. It looks like after the run of sunny and mild temps, it looks like winter is returning. So in Arnold, tonight it's going to be low of 42, high of 57 tomorrow, and then it starts dropping tomorrow night. There's a 30% chance of showers with a low of 43. High of 50 on Thursday. Thursday night, there's a 20% chance of showers with a low of 32. And on Friday night, there will be a 50% chance of snow with a low of 33.
In Arnold?
In Arnold.
Oh, my goodness.
And then on Saturday, there will be a chance of snow with a high of only 42. And then Saturday night, a chance of snow as well. So we will see if it holds true that in Murphy's, it's always the luck of the Irish, where it parts for the parade.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it's
That's
Irish
going on
Days this weekend.
weekend.
Okay. Bear Valley, partly cloudy tonight with a low of 30, high of 49 tomorrow, and then the snow starts rolling in. At least, chance of it. So we've got a 40% chance of snow tomorrow night with a 32-degree low, 40% chance of snow on Thursday with another 40-degree high, low of 20 on Thursday night, high of 32 on Friday. So we have 30% chance of snow, 60% chance of snow on Friday during the day, a low of 20 on Friday night with a 60% chance of snow, and Saturday likely snow, Saturday night likely snow. So,
Okay.
Murphy's. Did you want to read the Murphy's one or no?
Sure, go ahead. I was going to talk about one more thing in the
Okay,
news.
you got it. Murphy's, I'll run through the weather real quick then. Murphy's, we are back in a, so it looks like mostly sunny tomorrow, high Wednesday, 20% chance of rain on Wednesday night, 20% on Thursday, 20% on Thursday night. Temps mild, 44, 60, 37, 55. Friday night, there's a 30% chance of rain with a low of 33. And on Saturday, Irish Day, there is a chance of thunderstorms. Just a chance.
Okay.
Then on Saturday night, there'll be a chance of showers. But not to worry, because it is Murphy's, so there is always the luck of the
It always
Irish.
clears for the
It
Irish.
always clears, so they can get Irish Day in,
Yes.
and
Then
then
it
move
pours
on.
again.
So anyway, so also for Angels Camp, Valley Springs, San Andreas, and Copperopolis, you should all be within 2 or 3 degrees of this. As you get down to lower elevations, you'll have 42, 64, 44, 64, 38, 59, 34, 52. That should take you on out, and there will be a chance of showers from Wednesday night on through Saturday.
Okay.
And for our friends in Bangor, Maine, 34 degrees is a high for today, 22 the low, 35, 15, 27, 19, and 41 and 25. So they're actually kind of Bear Valley-ish, pretty
Yes,
close
they are.
for this week. So
I guess we're done.
I guess that's it on weather. No, we got
tomorrow.
you have. Let's see here. You got a minute.
Okay, there is a death investigation.
Oh
I
yeah,
wanted to
we
talk
should
about
have
that.
talked about this earlier.
I
yes.
tried to, but you interrupted me with weather.
Oh, sorry.
I wasn't done with news yet.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, death investigation at Bear Creek Reservoir Campground. The Amador County Sheriff's Department received a call from a citizen who reported finding a deceased female in the Bear Lake Campground. The citizen stated that the female was in a tent and in a sleeping bag. The Amador County Sheriff's Department responded to the location, determined that this was a rural area of Calaveras County. Calaveras County detectives responded and took over the investigation. It was determined that the deceased was 49-year-old named Patricia Elizabeth Yeager, who has been known to travel from campground to campground. She has lived in various campgrounds around the state. The cause of death isn't unknown at this time, pending autopsy. The case is still under investigation. If you have any information in regards to this case, please call the Calaveras County Sheriff's Department at 754-6500, or you can call their anonymous tip line at 754-6030.
Okay.
I just wanted to mention that real quick.
All right. Yeah, we should have mentioned that earlier, huh?
But you cut in, so
Oh,
you know.
thank you
What
very
you do.
much, and you have a great night.
Yes, thank you.
Good night.